This is Milne Bay on Papua New Guinea, and it's about as close to a tropical paradise as you can get. Warm Pacific waters, some of the purest in the world, kiss pristine beaches. Thick jungle drapes over the mountains like a green curtain. And the people here, for the most part, are very happy.
We live off the land, and that's the thing that I have come to learn to appreciate.
Oh, it's a beautiful place. Locals call it a slice of paradise. But during World War II, this was the scene of a brutal battle.
The big picture.
The Battle of Milne Bay pitted Allies against the Japanese over control of an airport.
There was no room to maneuver.
American troops slogging through the thick, unforgiving jungle. It was hot, humid, mosquito-ridden, closer to hell than to paradise. Just ask Marcus Guys, born and raised here, a student of the island's history.
It was one of the hardest places to fight. Milne Bay was very, very difficult because of the weather conditions, the mud and the rain, which still happens today, the mud and the rain. It said it was just too much for this. These were just young kids coming up to fight.
The Allies would win this battle, but they turned unspoiled wilderness into a junkyard. Junk you can still see today, rusted remains hinting at what happened. Recently, Marcus's cousin Willie was walking through his family's land when he spotted something beneath a fallen palm tree.
I was just walking past this place and then I spotted it sticking out, so I decided to come pick it up. I knew what it was, but I didn't know who was the rightful owner.
Willie found this, the dog tag of an American soldier from Fort Wayne, Private Irvin Otting. Naturally, Willie and Marcus wanted to know more.
You know, when you think back to the war, these people were very young.
The soldiers were young, just kids at the time. Most of them, though, are now long gone. But to learn more about the tag and the soldier who once wore it, Willie and Marcus called their cousin James in Australia, a World War II enthusiast with a restored American Jeep and a collection of Japanese weapons. If anybody could trace the dog tag, James could.
I said I would do my best to help out. So I straight away went onto Google and I typed in the surname.
And that's when James learned about Private Otting's time during Milne Bay. But maybe you'd better hear that story from Irvin himself.
The swamp was so thick that you had to hack your way through it. You could have an enemy soldier within 2 feet of you, and sometimes you wouldn't even know it.
At 94 years old, Irvin is still going strong, living in this house he built himself, farming these fields. Back on Papua New Guinea, the news was spreading fast.
Everybody here was, really found it interesting that the guy was still alive when I was telling them.
Irvin's war stories read like a screenplay, but for him it was serious business. He was nearly killed when an errant mortar landed too close to his machine gun nest.
I was hit with a shrapnel from an 81 millimeter mortar, our own. That's what burnt me up. It had to be our own stupidity that ruined my life.
Irvin was knocked out cold by the explosion, which also tore off his helmet and blew out a piece of his skull.
I didn't even hear the mortar go off. All I felt was the blood running down over my body.
He would be unconscious for weeks in a Philippine hospital. This is a sketch of him there. But soon after this, he awoke and noticed something very important was missing.
When I woke up, that's the first thing I said. Where's my dog tags? Don't know. I give up the idea of ever finding them.
But fate wouldn't allow that to happen. Overwhelmed by the chance discovery and Irvin's near death on their family's land 75 years earlier, the cousins from down under knew they had to return the favor.
This person put his life on the line. I thought the least I could do is to take them back to him personally and hand them to him. would be the right and proper thing to do.
And that's just what he did, arriving in Fort Wayne carrying a special cargo for express delivery. The Otting family already waiting.
I'm James, and I've travelled a long way to bring you something very special. I'd like to present you with your dog tag, which you left, that you lost all those years ago.
It's been a long time since I've seen that.
Yes, I can imagine.
Bringing the dog tag was easy.
Thank you for
Finding the words,
putting your life for putting your life on the line for us, mate.
not so much.
You know, without you guys, we wouldn't be where we are today, mate.
For these to get lost was a real surprise. 'Cause a good soldier never takes them off the back. And I'll never lose it again.
I'm sure you won't.
Everything is okay for you people over there now?
We have our freedom. We have our freedom. People like you putting your life on the line for us. So there's the least I could do.
Well, you can imagine the feeling when they said somebody found your dog tags. In other words, they found part of you. I couldn't believe it. Well, it finally come true. And we thank God for that.
The pressure, you can feel it. Imagine you're just 17 years old, still in high school, and you're facing the biggest performance of your life, guiding a 1,000-pound horse in lockstep with dozens of others in front of the president, dignitaries, and a global TV audience. Military precision.
Hi, pretty. I know we're disrupting dinner.
Brianna Spear is one of 24 young women on Culver Academy's elite horse team, the Equestrians.
Yeah, there is a lot of pressure behind it.
She's from Fort Wayne, riding in the inaugural parade on her horse, Tobiana. Oh yeah, you can bet the horses feel the nerves too.
She wasn't very friendly at first, but we eventually bonded after I fed her plenty of treats.
Drilling like this since October, every move scrutinized. The Equestrians and the boys, the Black Horse Troop.
Yeah, we have about 4 practices a week preparing for inaugural, and it definitely can be a lot.
Maintaining control of your horse, keeping your bearing, and of course, the all-important uniform. Small details really add up. And now the invitation from Mike Pence, the team prepares to deploy.
We've seen pictures of years past of them going. We have them hung up all around campus of just all the troops that have gone before.
So how do you move 80 horses and all their riders, a small army, from the Midwest to the nation's capital?
6 18-wheelers to get the horses there, and we're going to be taking 80 head of horses. It'll take another box 18-wheeler to get our hay and bedding, our gator, and then the equipment to care for the horses.
Luckily, experience is on their side. Troops from Culver Academies have marched in inauguration since 1913, and this year marks the 104th anniversary of that first ride.
In 1913, Thomas Marshall, who was then the governor of Indiana, became the vice president of the United States, and that was our first inaugural. Now we're coming full circle for Vice President Pence.
The Black Horse Troop, still as they were all those years ago, except this time Kevin Tai, the first Chinese squadron leader in the school's history, commanding his troops. And for the Equestrians, who began riding more recently in the 1970s, well, the excitement is only tempered by Academy culture and a certain kind of poise.
I think it means to be carrying on a tradition and to be a part of something more, and when generations in the future will look back, it's kind of cool that all have been a part of it.
I mean, it is something that it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for our kids. And when you see their faces when they've gone down Pennsylvania Avenue and they've persevered, often in horrible cold weather, they're just, just ecstatic. It's amazing.
It's a chilly, misty day in DeKalb County, and this sprawling barn is the heart of Superior Dairy in Garrett. Inside, more than 200 cows producing much of the milk you drink.
I have certain ones that are really my favorite.
Deborah Haynes married into the dairy business 30 years ago, and she wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, in the morning they get talked to and they come up to me and I pet them.
Deborah will tell you this business is changing quickly. You won't notice it at first, but take a closer look and you'll see this barn nearly runs itself.
It's not our father's dairy farm because we went completely robotic. The Lely robots, they just walk right into them. The robot itself does all the milking. It does the cleaning of the udder.
While the gentle cows munch away, lasers are scanning their undercarriage, knowing where to attach, how much milk is coming out. These robots take in nearly as much data as milk. By sensing these electronic collars and sampling the milk, the machines keep track of each cow's productivity. They also keep watch for any signs the animals are ill.
Yes, I can be milked, or no, I cannot be milked at this point.
This is modern agriculture, heavy in automation and data farming to make the actual farmer more competitive.
The average milk in our herd now is 92.3 pounds of milk per cow per day, which is up from 84 pounds of milk per cow per day.
Here, robots even do the feeding. This is Juno, a bit like R2-D2, happily roaming the barn, dishing out dinner where it's needed. In this business, efficiency plants the seeds of profit, which fills the silos of Indiana's economy. This is Josh Wolf of the Purdue Extension Office.
In terms of economy, it brings in billions of dollars in revenue every year. Just in Allen County alone, we look at over $400 million in GDP.
The combine harvesters that we have more lines of code in them today than the space shuttle did when it first launched back in 1981.
Chad Lance is with Troxel Equipment in Bluffton. He maintains combine harvesters, tractors, and other big machines. Look, no hands on the wheel. This combine drives itself using GPS satellites to recognize where it is and steer it in the right direction. And as the crop is pulled into the hopper, the computer on wheels keeps track of every bean. The engine and transmission, well, they're smart too.
Production agriculture these days really relies on efficiency.
Using a cellular connection, these mechanized behemoths report position and performance data to mechanics who get a bird's eye view of the fall harvest. Because of this, technicians need to know a lot more than they used to keep these tools of Indiana's economy running.
Right, we like to see our technicians with at least a 2-year degree, and then even John Deere, we send our technicians to John Deere specific schools for up to 70 hours a year just to keep up on the technology and the new machines.
It's expensive. Millions invested into training and new tools. In some ways, uprooting tradition in the name of efficiency.
Yes, efficiency is really the key for technology. It's allowing farmers to really get into the nitty-gritty of their production practices.
Just like the Haynes family in Garrett, where automation and data collection of the modern farm allowed Deborah and her family something they've never had before.
It just gives us a little bit of flexibility that we can actually have Christmas morning now with a family instead of having to go milk and then have Christmas. I look back at what it was when I started in this 34 years ago and think, wow, what's the next 20 years have to hold for the industry?